My name is David Davidson, and this is a straightforward guide to build the perfect mountain biker's body from someone who's been on the journey. And what that means is that when I go out to the trail, I ask the bike to do what I want it to do, and it does it. Now, I started riding 2 decades ago, and I began this journey where I just rode to get better and I would lift weights. I started hybrid muscle training about 5 years ago, and it radically transformed my riding, and nothing else that I've done has even come close. For this video, I'm assuming that you are roughly 30 to 55 years old, you have been riding your mountain bike, and you love riding, and you know deep down that you're a better rider than you are right now, and you believe that one of the best ways to become a great mountain biker is to be fit. And you're watching this video not because of what necessarily you see in the mirror, but because of what you feel on the bike. Your body doesn't work the way that it used to, you don't heal as fast from injuries, and most importantly, you know deep down that there's something that you can do about it. Now, I'll tell you the truth right now, it's absolutely possible. The usual guides you'll see online focus on weightlifting, stretching. The big focus is on compound movement and progressive overload. And this advice is given by really jacked dudes who are essentially professional trainers or professional athletes. They're not dads who work at a desk job like you and me. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that if you follow these protocols, you're likely to get hurt. And it's not because of the protocol, it's because it doesn't solve the problem of why you're getting hurt in the first place. Early in the 2000s, Whistler Bike Park did a study on mountain bikers and found that mountain biking is equally as dangerous as football. This means it's very dangerous. It's just you take the injuries that typically happen for a football player, which are in the legs and the hips, all the way, and you put them in the shoulders and the neck, and that's what we're risking every single time we go out to the trails. The truth is, most of these injuries that Whistler Bike Park found were from crashing. Now, I want you to think back to the last time you had a crash on your mountain bike. It's not that it was scary that you want to avoid it. It's that you actually can't ride if you get hurt, or you can't work. Those are the two main complaints that mountain bikers actually care about. And if that's you, listen up, because what you don't need to do is work out harder. That just makes you a more muscular, toned guy on your trip down to the dirt on your way to break a bone. Here's how to use hybrid muscle training to stop crashing. And this is based on the hierarchy of mountain bike muscle. The most basic foundational part of the hierarchy of mountain bike muscle is an activated core. An activated core is the number one thing that you need to have. And when you have an activated core, what's possible for you as a rider is that you can literally think and your body does. You can think and your body does. No more of this prescription reading from a manual-based riding where you're stiff and you feel like you're just trying to tell the bike to do one thing and it does another. Put an end to that forever, because when you're able to activate your core, it's the first mover and everything else can follow suit. Now, the problem is that when we go to work and we are a good provider for the family, or we're a good employee, you're going to sit down 3 to 6 hours a day minimum if you count the ride to and from work and you also count sitting down at work. A lot of guys, they try to, push back on this by doing standing desks, by walking more often, and these things do help. However, if you sit for more than 3 hours a day, you are specifically deprogramming your core. Let me say this again. If you sit more than 3 hours a day, you are deprogramming your core from activation, and you're giving it 3 hours a day of programming to just completely relax. Think about what this does over 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years of being a good employee, being a good desk worker, being a good provider. It just adds up. And so what we need to do is we need to activate the core. Now, quick note on this, I'm not going to be giving you guys in this video the exact step-by-step broken down process for how to rebuild these 5 things. Instead, what I'm going to do is show you in what order to take these so that you know what to do and you don't waste your time. Once you've trained and activated the core, then what it allows you to do is to be an athlete, because when the core is active, what it does is it can stabilize the interface between the hips and the torso, and it also allows you to transfer power from the top of the body to the bottom without having to clench up other muscles that are made for movement, okay? Hierarchy number 2, we have to have mobilized hips. Mobilized hips are incredibly important. If you take a look at a video of yourself riding, you think that you're lower than you are. And the reason why is because your hips have become frozen. Now, here's the key. You don't have tight hip flexors. You have weak hip flexors. Again, modern life does not call on us to use our hip flexors properly. What ends up happening is that we become desk bod dads And the thing that happens is ultimately you're just not able to move the way that you should, and you stay in one place. This transfers more of the work to the upper body, and it's the reason why so many riders complain of arm pump, and it's the reason why so many riders really can't express fully creatively what they can on the bike, and it's why you're stiff in midair when you try to jump. So the number 2 most important thing is you have to get the hips mobilized. This is a very easy one to work on. You just need to do daily movement that you're not used to doing. When you move your body daily and you move the hips daily, it's the number 1 thing that allows you to go from one place to another. And your mobility defines your momentum. When an object is at rest, it stays at rest. When an object is in motion, it tends to stay in motion. So move those hips. Number 3 in the hierarchy of mountain bike muscle is a dynamic posterior chain. A dynamic posterior chain is the glutes, it's the hamstrings, and what this does is it controls our hinge on the mountain bike. Now, if you can't do a proper hinge off the bike, there is no way you can do a hinge on the mountain bike. So it's incredibly important to train this. Now, the problem is that so many riders, they go and they train their deadlifts and they haven't built their core up. Their core isn't active and their hips are also frozen. So what happens is the forces that we need to call on for a deadlift end up getting spread to the wrong muscles of the body. Now, if you've done the hard work of activating the core and really mobilizing the hips, then it allows you to have proper movement. And when you do, you're able to control the hinge. The hinge is incredibly important because it allows us to go down steep descents. It allows us to modulate our body as we're pumping over rocks and roots. It allows us to ride pump tracks. And it's incredibly important for making sure that we have control on our jumps. Also, a dynamic posterior chain is incredibly important for helping you move throughout your entire range of motion so that you can be balanced, even if you're on steep trails or flat trails. Number 4 is the most commonly overlooked one when people do get the other 3 right, and it is a mobilized thoracic spine. A mobilized thoracic spine is not just the spine itself, but it's also the scapula and how we move the interface between our spine and the scapula. One of the most important things for downhill and enduro racing is being able to absorb hard hits and do it in an active way without being a passenger on the bike. And so that's why building mobility and not just strength in this area is so incredibly important. Strength is where you just have strong muscles that pull and hold. Mobility is the ability to control those muscles throughout the entire range of motion. That's how this is different. Number 5, and the final piece in the hierarchy of mountain bike muscle, is just some raw ripping leg power. Now, the problem is this is where almost all mountain bikers start. They either go out and they pedal for hours, or they hit the gym and do squats, and they neglect everything else. Problem is, if you do this and you build a strong body on top of a weak foundation, ironically, the legs are not your foundation, it's the core, then what you end up having is not just an imbalanced body, but you have an accident waiting to happen. Imagine strapping a 700 horsepower engine into a car where we've disconnected the chassis bolts and we rip that thing open and just let it fly. It's going to fly off the track and it's going to be very dangerous. Now, can you see with all these pieces together how if they all work in unison, you can actually prevent crashes because you're more in control while you're riding your bike. Even if you have the strength and you don't have these things, even if you have the flexibility and you don't have these things, or if all you have is some great yoga skills, but you don't have these things, can you see how that can lead to more crashes? Because your body is reactive. Let me summarize the reason why this is so incredibly important for you as a rider in your 30s, 40s, 50s, or beyond. It's because if you weight lift, if you train, if you're fit and healthy, but you miss these things, you're still a reactive rider. You must be proactive. You must be the one controlling the movements. You must be the one initiating the movements, not the trail. If you're reactive, that's what leads to crashes. If you're reactive, that's what leads to stiff riding. And that's why so many riders suffer out on the trails. Now, my idea for you is to save this video in your liked videos so you can come back to it later and work on this over the course of months and years as you hit your riding goals. Here's some ways you can get some value out of this video in the future. You can't overtrain, you're just under-recovered. Recovery, the number 1 thing you can do is rest. Getting 8 hours of sleep sometimes in a night isn't enough. If you're training, if you're riding an hour or 2 a day, and you're also doing workouts, shoot for 9 to 10 hours of sleep. If you've got kids, if you have a job, go to bed earlier. Turn off Netflix, turn off the lights, go to bed earlier. It's not cool to show up tired the next day and crash because you were irresponsible and wanted to scroll through Instagram. Have some discipline in your life. Turn off the lights, go to bed, wake up fresh and actually recovered. The last thing you want to do if you put in the hard work is to make sure that it goes to nothing by not sleeping. One of the best hacks that I have for this is go to bed and wake up at the same time every single night. What this does is it allows your circadian rhythms to get in sync so that you're naturally tired at a certain time and you naturally wake up as well. Also, make sure that you're getting good supplements. Most of today's diet does not include good nutrition. Most people are absolutely deficient in things like vitamin D, zinc, magnesium. You can get supplements for these over the counter. They're very inexpensive, easy to get. Talk to your doctor. Vitamin D, usually 10,000 units every week, once a week. It gets stored in your body fat and used when it's necessary. Magnesium, take a magnesium salt bath or an Epsom salt bath. Doing this after a hard workout, not only does it relax your muscles, but it gives you the exact right amount of magnesium that you need in order to recover. Because when you take a bath, your body will not absorb more magnesium than it needs, period. Also, I like to suggest Pure Label Nutrition protein powder. It's what I use. I have zero affiliation with them whatsoever. I use it because it's not messed with. It's something that you can get off the shelf. It's more expensive than other protein powders, but there's no sugar, there's no additives, and it's messed with very little before it gets turned into a powder. Another tip is that movement is better than movies. Most Americans, and again, I don't know what you guys are like in the rest of the world, but most Americans, we come home, we flip open the TV, and we sit there and watch it. Movement is better than movies. And the thing is, whatever you do over time compounds. I'll end this with one motivational tip for you, and that is be the rider that your 5-year-old self from now is thanking you for. You can either be the rider that watches Netflix every day, sits around, is bored, doesn't create energy for yourself. And I said it, you create energy, you do not get it so that you get motivated to work out. Go do it, because movement is medicine and movement is better than movies. So be the rider that yourself thanks you for 5 years from now. Imagine right now, we all would go back in time and say, hey, if I could do it again, I would exercise more, I would ride more, I'd have more fun. This is your opportunity to be that guy for your 5 years from now self. Just do this for me. Scroll down, hit the subscribe button. You'll get more content just like this video. And if you want, and like always, join my waitlist for one-to-one coaching in the pinned comments below. Peace.